Hi everyone! In today's video I'm going to do a review of these Viviva watercolor sheets. A while ago I received some samples from the inventor Adia, so he sent me these for me to try them out, and he asked me to give my honest opinions of it. I've actually already tried the first version of these color sheets, and I think this is a second version on which they've made some improvements. So in this video I'm going to share a few thoughts I have on these Viviva color sheets. The overall design is very cute and delightful, and I love how compact it is. It's about the same size as my hand, as you can see, and I have extremely small hands. So it's like a small pad stitched on the spine at the top. And on the cover it says Viviva color sheets, super vivid transparent watercolors, 16 colors. And at the bottom it says handmade with love. If you know me, you know that I absolutely adore handmade products. So when you open it up, there's a line for you to put your name on. So these colors belong to Wei. And then you have some instructions here. The color sheets look different than their actual color on paper, as the pigment is super saturated. I actually noticed that on their first edition, but I'll show you later. The partition between colors are covered with a special water repellent coating to avoid sticking with wet colors, so I guess this is what it is. We recommend that you let the colors dry before closing the color sheets. Viviva color sheets are safe for use, but needless to say, do not ingest them. And please wash your hands with soap after use. In it, you have two pads of colors on the same page, and this partition paper between two pages. It feels like tracing paper. And I noticed that they added these color bars at the bottom. I think it's a very nice improvement, so you can see which colors on which pages and find your colors faster. I guess it also serves as an extra space for you to put your fingers on so they don't get into the color pads all the time like in the first version, because they tend to stain on your fingers. Okay, now I'm gonna do a color swatch of all these colors to see what they look like on paper, and after that I'll paint a quick sketch to try them out. First of all, I'm really impressed by how intense the colors are. They're so vibrant and bright, as if they're popping out of the paper. Secondly, it's got a beautiful selection of colors. It pretty much covers all the colors that I usually use. But I do find the first set of colors to be very similar. The crimson and the deep pink, although the name of the second one kind of got sewn into the spine and we can hardly see it, but I think it's deep pink. The vermilion and flash colors are more orange looking for me, like a darker and a lighter orange. And then again, the chrome yellow is pretty close to the gold ochre. The colors themselves are beautiful, but I just think it's a little too bad to have that much similarity between two colors, considering that this is a compact palette. The burnt umber and burnt sienna both come out great, and I'm happy to see these two included because I use them a lot. The light green is like a gold yellowish green. The sap green is an interesting color because it looks a little like olive green when the pigment is concentrated, but once you dilute it, it shows more of a pistachio green. The viridian is a pretty regular viridian green, and you can see how different the color is on the sheet and on paper, because on the sheet it actually shows a more burgundy color, so that's very interesting about this color sheet. Then it's got two blues, peacock blue and Persian blue. The first one has a slightly greener touch, and the other is similar to indigo. The violet reminds me a lot of the Sinalia dioxazine purple. And then we have magenta, which is a very pretty sharp pink that's a lot like Oprah Rose. And finally, there's a black color called Slate Black. I probably won't use it because I personally don't like to use black in my paintings, even if for the darkest value, but some artists do, depending on their styles. To be able to test and get to know the colors better, I've decided to do a small sketch with them on this Sinalia cotton watercolor paper. The paint might look and behave differently on different type of paper. Since there's no mixing area on the sheets, so I just taped a little piece of clear acetate, which is like a transparent plastic sheet, and I think it worked well as a mixing tray. In general, the sheets are pretty easy to use. You just need to put a wet brush on them and the colors are very easy to pick up. I think the water brush is probably the best brush to use with them, but you can also use a regular paintbrush. Although I think you have to use less water as you would with traditional watercolor paint, so that you don't end up with water spreading pigments around. And as the colors are extremely intense and super easy to pick up, it was a little hard for me in the beginning to paint pale washes, because even when I used the tip of my brush to pick up like a tiny amount of paint, it would still come out very vibrant. But as I kept going, I sort of got a hang of it. However, it is different than traditional watercolor paint, so I was still painting with a little awkwardness. The first thing I noticed is that the colors actually behave more like ink compared to the traditional paint. They don't seem to settle completely in the paper. They tend to get carried away easily if you put too much water on them, but despite of that, it is still possible to do some glazing. So because they don't go all the way into the paper, they don't show as much texture. It could be a positive thing depending on how you see it. Like for example, the traditional artist grade paint is known for its fluidity, so the pigment tends to flow better and deeper in a way that it could be a little hard to control sometimes. So you might end up with more textures than you expected, like the infamous water bloom shaped like a little cauliflower. If that's something that bothers you a lot, then you'll probably enjoy using these color sheets because you won't get much of that. And because of its ink-like property, I would especially recommend it for pen and ink painting. Secondly, mixing colors can be a little tricky because the color seems to change very fast when you throw in another one. But once you're familiar with them, then you'll find yourself getting the right color more easily. The gradation between two colors looks very natural to me. They seem to blend in very well with one another. So they also do a good job on wet into wet. In general, I enjoyed quite a bit using the Viviva color sheets. I've had some awkward moments with certain colors, but I've also enjoyed some of those very happy accidents. Again, I like its design very much. It's so light and compact, I can just throw it in my traveler's notebook, and I can definitely see myself using it from now on, because I do a lot of pen and wash illustrations for my journals, and these will be perfect for that. I'll have to test them on my sketch inserts some other time. Although I do like to suggest a looser stitch on the partition paper because they seem to tear easy. Apart from that, I do see great potential in the colors, and I think they'll make some gorgeous paintings. So those are my thoughts on the Viviva color sheets. I would recommend it to those of you who like to travel light and like to do some watercolor illustrations in your journals, preferably on watercolor or sketch paper insert. I'm going to keep mine in the traveler's notebook, and it'll definitely show up again in my future journal with me videos. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I will link more information down below for anyone interested. And if you have any thoughts, I'd love to read about them in the comments. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao!